What's your relationship with the word no in your parenting, in your life, in general? If you love self-help and self-growth, I'm sure you have heard this sentence. No is a full sentence. And we hear that a lot when the story is about setting boundaries with people. And it is true that we need to learn to set boundaries, especially with people who take too much. But something that I have never heard talked about is the importance to say no less. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Recently, I had a conversation with a friend, and she was saying that her husband is always very cautious about committing to anything or engaging himself in some kind of activities, and because he does not like lies, he doesn't want to lie. He is convinced that one lie leads to another lie, and that soon enough you find yourself in a web of lies. That's how even he calls it. And I find it very funny. I also try my best to not lie, even white lies. And I'll tell you why in another video, because it plays against us at the end, even if nobody knows it. The no that sometimes we need to say less is the no that if you're like me, like her husband, my word has an immense value for me. I hate people who say, yes, I will come, and then they don't show up, who commit themselves knowing that they can always cancel later and sometimes without warnings. For me, my word, I'm very old-fashioned, my word reflects my value also. So when my kids were younger and they were asking for something, my first answer was always no. And that's something I've learned from my father. And until a certain point, so it had two negative effects. First, it taught them that for everything they're gonna want, they're gonna have to fight for it. Like they have to really convince me of the yes. And that's the opposite of a mentality of abundance. The second is that they get used to not honoring your no. So every time I would say no, even when sometimes it was necessary to say no, I got a pushback from them. And that was coming from, I guess, an unconscious fear that I did not know what to say in the moment, so no was safer than yes, because once I gave the yes, I couldn't come back. And that was a mistake on my part. That's something, sorry, I'm gonna take a sip of water, allergies. That's something that I continued doing for a very, very long time in my life, until my friends even talked about it. And I reflected on the why. And that conversation with my friend reminded me that, actually not reminded me, it made me aware in a very obvious way that my no was coming from fear. Fear of saying yes, because since I don't want to lie, I don't want to have to come back on my yes. So what is your relationship with no? Are you like me, saying no too often? In that case, instead of saying no or yes, you can say, let me think about it. And if we're talking about giving an answer to our teenagers who will interpret it the way they want, which will, in their mind, will mean it's not a no, so it's a yes, you add a sentence, a precision, a more detailed answer. Let me think about it. It's not a yes, it's not a no. I just need to assess. That way, they know it's not a yes. So let me know below what's your experience with the no, and let me know how it goes when you start putting this in practice. I'll see you next time.